Do I have a motion to reconvene in open session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
The board is now in open session. Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution certifying the closed session?
Now therefore be it resolved that the school board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board.
Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the first student matter?
In case number 2023-24/2, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next student matter?
In case number 2023-24/3, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next student matter?
In case number 2023-24/S4, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next student matter?
In case number 2023-24/S5, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next student matter?
In case number 2023-24/S6, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the first personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/13-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/14-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/15-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/16-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/17-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the next personnel matter?
In case number 2023-24/18-HR, it is recommended that the superintendent's recommendation be upheld.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the October 10th, 2023 School Board Business Meeting to order. Before we begin the meeting this evening, I would like to thank everyone for attending and remind the audience that comments to this board may only be made at the podium during the public comment period. Comments from the audience are prohibited and are in violation of Section 18.2-415 of the Code of Virginia, Disorderly Conduct in Public Places, the School Board and School Board Policy 6141. I appreciate everyone's patience and understanding so that we can conduct the business meeting in an orderly fashion. We'll now have an invocation by Mrs. Bailey, followed by a flag salute by Mrs. Heffron.
Thank you. Before tonight's invocation, I would like to recognize with a moment of silence the passing of Kimberly Bliley, a coordinator of special education at Salem Church Middle School who joined CCPS on December 18, 2006. Mrs. Bliley's career with the school division also included teaching at Byrd High and Midlothian Middle Schools as a special education teacher. Please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. For the invocation, loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you today for all your blessings, for the successful outcomes of our school events, and for all of our staff members, both teaching and support members. We ask that you bless them abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our deliberations and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is right and good. Help us to make decisions that are for the good of all. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The consent agenda for tonight includes agenda adoption, approval of the minutes from our September 12th, 2023 work session, September 12th, 2023 business meeting, memo number 134-23, recommended personnel actions, memo number 135-23, FY 2024 acceptance of new grants, memo number 136-23, 2023-24 school calendar, March 5th, Virginia 2024 presidential primary, asynchronous learning day, memo number 137-23, deed of gift for new playground at Clover Hill Elementary School, memo number 138-23, deed of gift for play shade addition to Old Hundred Elementary School, memo number 144-23, appointment of members to school board advisory committees. Are there any additions or corrections to the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, there are no additions or corrections to the consent agenda.
Are there any requests from a school board member to separate an item from the consent agenda for discussion and individual action? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. Next, we have awards and recognitions. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. If I could ask Shannon Toole and Ann Saunders to come forward at this time. The Academy for Developing Entrepreneurs at Meadowbrook High is designed for students who are interested in learning to launch startups while in high school. Led by Specialty Center Coordinator Shannon Toole, the Academy for Developing Entrepreneurs has connected with VCU's Da Vinci Center for Innovation and Shift Retail Lab. This partnership increases networking and opens additional opportunities for students. One of these opportunities is the Shelfie program, which accepts applications from VCU students, alumni, and community members who want to test their products on the shelf at Shift Retail Lab, which is the storefront located on the VCU campus. Ann Saunders, a junior at Meadowbrook High, is the only high school student who was accepted into the Shelfie program this fall. Ann's startup, Glass Memories, offers painting kits for children and teens. As part of the Shelfie program, Ann set up as an interactive display at Shift Retail Lab, attended Shelfie Boot Camp, practiced her business pitch, and earned micro-credentials in business. Please join me in congratulating Ann Saunders.
Well, congratulations. You must be very proud. This belongs to you, and you should be exceptionally proud of what you've accomplished. To be the only high school student accepted into that program at VCU is phenomenal. I know you're competing with students in the Brand Center. I mean, you're competing with students that are being educated at the college level to do what you did. And as a junior from Meadowbrook High School, yay, go Monarchs, way to go. Would you like to say a little bit about what she did and tell us just a bit more detail? And then if you want to talk about it, you're welcome to. Did you see how she did that? Give your. There you go. Okay.
Meadowbrook has had a very close relationship with the VCU Da Vinci Center for the past 3 or 4 years, and we have had our graduate students into Meadowbrook, and we've also gone down to the Da Vinci Center to participate in different entrepreneurial sessions where they teach them about design thinking, pricing, starting your business. And so Ann had the opportunity, the Meadowbrook students had the opportunity to apply for the Shelfie program, and down there they went through a boot camp. You went through on a Saturday right before homecoming, so that's dedication, right? And so they went through the boot camp, and then they go down and they set up their display on the shelf. They have a Feedback Friday where the community can come in and give feedback to all of the different students that are there with their products. So we're very, very, very proud of Ann.
Congratulations.
Ms. Heffron. For our recognition of school success, we have two different topics to cover. The first we want to talk about is Hispanic Heritage Month in Chesterfield schools. Hispanic Heritage Month runs September the 15th through October 15th. Here are some of just a few ways that Chesterfield County Public Schools are celebrating. An upcoming celebration that's open to the public is the Olaf Festival at Thomasdale High. Families are invited to the event from 5 to 8 p.m. October the 11th for salsa lessons, music, and student performances. Elizabeth Scott Elementary, home of the Spanish Dual Immersion Program, kicked off Hispanic Heritage Month by welcoming students with music and teachers wearing his heritage attire. Creative displays by students are part of the Hispanic Heritage Month at Midlothian High. Students are proud to share more information about each of the 21 countries where Spanish is the official language. Additional Hispanic Heritage Month activities include student parades at Salem Church Elementary and at Fallen Creek Elementary, community resource fairs at Providence Middle and at Manchester Middle, International Night at Grange Hall Elementary, and activities at Bellwood Elementary and Hopkins Elementary. We want to show a brief video, which is Monacan High students fluent in Spanish, which they connected with culinary students.
Today, the Intro to Culinary class is teaming up with the Hispanic Heritage Speakers class, and together they're working to make pupusas with just a normal cheese filling on the inside, and then they've got a nice tomato salsa to go with it and a little bit of curtido as well.
Well, the partnership with me and Chef Mineo, who's our culinary teacher, started a couple of years ago. We started teaching a heritage speakers class, but we saw a really great opportunity to blend the culture and the cooking. And it turns out that our students, most of our population here is El Salvadoran and Guatemalan, so they started making pupusas anyways. So that gave us the idea of, oh, next year, we're going to make pupusas, because that actually is more representative of our actual students here at Matoaka.
Just being present with each other, I had noticed pretty quickly that Mr. Zabala is excited about opportunities for students that go beyond just the traditional learning environment, which also lends itself very well to this classroom. So the opportunity for us to bring together two groups of students that don't have the same class but have knowledge that they can share with each other was just really exciting. Just being open to that idea of collaborating with another teacher was really powerful, and it's so cool to see what we've done here.
Any questions right now for the whole group? This is the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month. It is also the Independence Day of Guatemala, Salvador, and Honduras.
I have been making pupusas for Spanish Heritage Month. My role was just washing dishes and helping roll out the pupusas. It's been fun, you know, learning how to make the pupusas and stuff. I learned how to make the corn dough, which I didn't know how to do beforehand, so that was pretty cool.
Hice unas pupusas, bueno, aprendí a hacerlas porque pues soy de México y no las sé hacer, no las había comido ni nada, pero pues ya está bien porque es divertido y conocemos más personas, porque conocen más sobre nuestra cultura y tradiciones, algo así. Se portaron bien y me ganaron a hacer las pupusas porque las hicieron mejor que yo, la verdad.
I hope that our students have an opportunity to just be able to meet people that they haven't talked to before in the hallway, so that they can feel more of a sense of community here at Matoaka. That's my biggest hope. And then I would say my second hope is that they taste something delicious that they like, and they're excited to try something new again if they see it in the future.
Well, I really love sharing music, sharing food. I mean, these are the things that brings us together, you know, and I think that by sharing our culture and stuff, it's going to open minds of our general ed students, but then they can also start an exchange and share with our Hispanic students also some of the great things about the culture, and they can compare foods, and that's a really great way to get friendships started and get a community, you know, together.
We're excited about the many things that are happening in our schools. We know there'll be a couple more days left for Hispanic Heritage Month, and we look forward to sharing those as well. We have one last recognition at this time. If I could ask our representatives from Chesterfield Recovery Academy to come forward at this time. Chesterfield Recovery Academy was front and center at the White House Summit on Recovery. Several students and school leaders traveled September the 20th to Washington, D.C. after being asked to participate in the summit. This is the most recent success for Virginia's first recovery high school, which is open to Central Virginia students who are recovering from drug addiction. Since the Chesterfield Recovery Academy opened in August 2022, it's been featured in the Virginia School Boards Association Showcases for Success program, earned the top award from the Virginia Association of Counties, received a National Association of Counties Achievement Award, and been spotlighted by national and local news media. During a panel discussion at the White House Summit with the Chesterfield Recovery Academy, Coordinator Justin Savoy, students Zakaya Kearney and Michael Spain shared their stories, including how the program has changed their lives and put them on paths to successful futures. After graduating from high school, Zakaya plans to attend law school, and Michael will enter the military. Please join me in recognizing Michael and Justin.
Thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you for representing us so well in Washington, D.C. at the White House. It's amazing. Dr. Dougherty was telling me about your trip. There was a train involved. There was a lot of food involved, I hear, so it was a good time. And thank you for sharing your story and your courageous leadership here with us. We're very proud of you, and we look forward to celebrating you along your journey. And something that, really sticks with me whenever I think of the Recovery Academy was from the graduation last year, and it's one step, one day, and one success at a time. And I admire you for living that for all of us. So congratulations. Would you like to share your plans for after graduation? I know we heard if you're going to law school or the military.
The military. Okay. I planned on going into the military before I attended the academy. Passing a drug test was never really an option, and it wasn't really going to be easy. I always wanted to do it, and now I get to go. So that's the plan.
This is all for you. Congratulations, and we're very, very proud of you. We wish you continued success along your journey, and like I said again, thank you so much for being a leader here for us tonight. I do have a present. These are for you and our missing student. But congratulations again. So proud of you. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you for serving. What branch?
Thank you, thank you. Now we're going to recognize our outstanding drivers. Dr. Fry.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Daugherty, Mr. Roberts. It's my pleasure this evening to present to you our Drivers of the Month. Providing safe transportation for students to and from school every day is essential to instruction. And our Chesterfield County Public School bus drivers go above and beyond to accomplish this mission every day. Although often an unsung hero to many of our students, their bus driver is a role model for patience, hard work, kindness, and dedication. CCPS bus drivers are to be commended for their commitment to the schools and families which they serve. There were many drivers who could be recognized this month, but each transportation area manager had to make the tough decision of selecting a single bus driver who exemplified excellence and dedication to represent their area. We'd like to recognize and honor the following drivers. Ariel Gilliam, Area 1, Bus 345, 7 months of service. Ariel says that the smiles on her pre-K students' faces every morning as they board her bus brings her to work every day. Shaquan Randolph, Area 2, Bus 580, 1 month of service. Shaquan says she wants to be the change for the next generation like her bus driver was for her. Pat Tolbert, Area 3, Bus 483, 1 year of service. Patricia says she likes driving for Area 3 because the office staff make it possible for her to enjoy her job. Douglas Munch, Area 4, Bus 894, 3 years of service. Douglas says he enjoys connecting with the students and feeling like he can make a difference in their day by recognizing them and saying something positive to them. Doyle Stevens, Area 5, Bus 513, 2 years of service. Doyle says that he really enjoys working with the Area 5 team.
All right, let's give him a round of applause. Oh, you guys are taking off. That's all right, you guys. If you guys want to speak, you're more than welcome to speak and say what the best part of your job is. And I see that someone really does want to speak. And first off, you guys have a superpower that I could never possess. For you guys to be able to drive that bus every day and get them to school safe and get them home safe. So if you want to just go ahead and say something that is the reason you get out of bed every day and go to work, I'm going to go ahead and pass the microphone down. If you don't want to say nothing, just pass it along.
It's the kids.
I enjoy connecting with the kids. They're really good.
Thank you. I want to thank Dr. Fry, CCPS, my area supervisor, Jacqueline Roach. She does so much for me by putting up with me every morning when I come in and dance. But I get up in the morning because we make a difference in all the kids' lives. We make the gravel ravel. That means we get the kids to school on time. Despite the little alarms you get, the bus is running late. We are not late. That's what they want y'all to think, but we're not late. We're on time. And I also want to just thank each and every one of you guys. You do such a great job. You do. We all rise 4 o'clock in the morning and we make gravel ravel. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to overlook you. Forgive me. I want to talk. Right, how do you top that? Okay. So, you know, I'm only a month in, and this, right? I'm only a month in. I am. And I have to say it's been the best, craziest, yes. It's craziest ride ever, but I was trained for this, my trainers, you know, I have excellent Ron, right over there, yes. Yes, I just want to say thank you, Ron, for this recognition, and I'm happy like you. No, I'm excited. I worked hard for this. I worked hard. It's a lot of attitudes I had to put up with. I worked hard for this. Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much.
Next, we have recognition of outstanding food service employees. Mr. Dunbrack.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Doherty. Thank you as always for the opportunity to recognize some of our outstanding food nutrition services team members. This week we are celebrating National School Lunch Week in the school nutrition world. Our theme nationally this year is Level Up with School Lunch. I have to admit a fair amount of nostalgic feelings when we were sending out promotional materials last week and there were large cardboard cutouts of Nintendo Game Boys being distributed to 6 to 8 school cafeterias, which I was very pleased to see. I also want to add that the wonderful students at Manchester High School put together some videos for us again this year with the themes of Mario Kart and Pac-Man, which were excellent. And again, get some of the nostalgic feelings going, particularly the Pac-Man. As we kind of get through this week and get into the meat of our school year, we kind of remember the ultimate goal of a school nutrition program, the ultimate kind of leveling up, which is feeding our students. We are so fortunate in Chesterfield County to have next level food service employees that are always focused on their mission and their goal. Our nominees for this month, first we have Miss, and I hope I get this name right, Rua Abu Hassan. Ms. Hassan is a food service associate at Fallen Creek Elementary School and has been with the county for 4 years. It says, favorite thing about working in food service is the team that is like my family now. Being able to serve hundreds of children food that they need makes it meaningful. Next, we have Diane Foster. Ms. Foster is a food service associate currently working at Cosby High School, and she's been with the food service, Chesterfield County Food Service, for 17 years. She says, growing up, I was the children of the system. My siblings and I were wards of the state and were separated and put into different homes. The only thing I wanted was to feel loved, and it's why I love my job. I can relate to the children because genuine kindness and compassion is a type of love that kids need and want. Next, we have Delonte Cook. Mr. Cook is our assistant manager at C.C. Wells Elementary School and has been with the county for 6 years. He says, believe in yourself. What I love about my job is being able to contribute and be a part of a team where everybody is helping everybody. Next, we have Kanasia Hawkins. Ms. Hawkins is an assistant manager at James River High School. She's been with Chesterfield County for 7 years. She says, I love waking up in the morning knowing my crew and I are about to put smiles on those babies' faces. Every day I thank the Lord for blessing me with this job because he knew I would be a great fit for CCPS. Lastly, we have Sarah Cook. Ms. Cook is our cafeteria manager at Curtis Elementary School. She's been with Chesterfield County for almost a year, but she's been in school nutrition for 11 years. She says, what I love most about my job is the culture that we've created here. We have a common goal and all work together to ensure the students eat a nutritious meal. It makes me feel like our work here has a purpose.
Congratulations on this honor, and it truly is an honor to be awarded here on our school board evening. It's not, you know how many hundreds of employees we have that go to work in food nutrition, and you are receiving this because of your hard work and dedication to your job and what you do every single day. Just like the crazy bus drivers, which I think you do have to be a little crazy to drive a school bus, but Lord, they love it, right? And it's a wonderful thing. We have so many people that every role that they play in our school system is so critically important. But as a former teacher, I can tell you, y'all's role was huge because there is nothing like a hangry student. And that was usually the first question I was asked in the morning was, what was for lunch? And what time do we get to go to lunch? And are we going to lunch now, Miss Bailey? When are we going to lunch? So you guys perform a critical role, and sometimes you're the only meal that those kids get. So we really, really appreciate your hard work and dedication. If you want to take the mic and share what brings you back every single day.
Obviously the kids, we do it for the kids. Like you said, some of them, it's the only 2 meals they get for that day. So I try to remind my team about that. And I just want to give a special shout out to Berkeley and the whole team over at Central Office. I mean, without them, you know, we wouldn't have such a such a positive work environment. So yeah, that's it.
I just want to say the kids and staff, and thank you to Berkeley and Casey if she's here or not here.
Yes, I want to say the kids too and the team that we work with. We are like a family, and that's why we love our job. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Next, we have public comment. For this evening, citizens were given the option of submitting their comments online or in person. Comments submitted via the online form were sent to the board prior to the start of tonight's meeting and will be included in full as an addendum to the meeting minutes. Madam Clerk, would you please announce this evening's in-person speakers?
Madam Chair, we have 23 speakers this evening. They are Sherry Martz, Jacob Weatherford, Winter Brown, Ashley Albinot, Wendy Little, Marnie Palafian, Tracy Robertson, Shelley Murray, Jerry Cowan, Catherine Patterson, Laura Burge-Jones, Brian Hobbs, Camille Curry, Jonah Cochran, Cameron Francis, Tira Joseph, Imani Scott, Jason Spoon, Laith Chevalier, Lorenz Bacon, Michael Carabinos, Robert Ebereth, and Clay Thomas. Each speaker will have 4 minutes to address the board. There is a timer set up on top of the podium that will turn green when you begin speaking, yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining, and red when your time has expired. As a reminder, no personal belongings other than your cell phone and speaker notes are allowed at the podium. Please have your materials organized in a manner that as you arrive at the podium, you are prepared to start speaking. Please note that comments equivalent to campaigning for any public office are in violation of School Board Policy 1110 or prohibited. Okay, I'm just going to repeat the first 5 speakers. Sherry Martz, Jacob Weatherford, Winter Brown, Ashley Albernat, and Wendy Little. So may we have Sherry Martz?
Good evening. My name is Sherry Martz, and I'm a Spanish teacher in the World Language Department chair at Davis Middle here in Chesterfield. I have 36 years experience, over 30 here in Chesterfield. I'm also a graduate of CCPS. After all this time, I still love what I do. I still love being in the classroom. I still love my students. What I don't love are the inequities created by the county that affect world language teachers housed in the middle schools. So I'm going to address the facts, and then I'm going to address how these facts affect real people like me. 5 years ago, Chesterfield made some changes that my esteemed colleague Ariel Merkins addressed at last month's school board meeting pertaining to eliminating levels 1A and 1B in the middle schools. This created a situation where world language teachers teaching grades 6 through 12 were teaching the exact same high school curriculum, giving the same final exams, and having the same expectations of preparing students from one actual level to the next. In essence, CCPS created high school teachers who happened to be based in middle schools. But when the district created this situation, some key points were not addressed. First, teachers teaching in the high schools only teach 5 classes. Teachers based in the middle schools are required to teach 6. My colleagues at any of the high schools in this county, were they to teach a 6th class, would receive 20% more of their pay. Let me repeat that, 20% more. Second, world language teachers in the middle schools have on average about 20 fewer hours to teach the same high school curriculum, partly because of this extra class that we teach. And yet we're still expected to get the students from one actual level to the next by the end of the year, regardless. Third, those of us teaching the high school curriculum to middle schoolers are teaching middle schoolers. And we all know that there is a huge difference developmentally and pedagogically between an 11-year-old and a 15 and 16-year-old. And yet we are still expected to get the students to the next actual level by the end of the year, regardless. So about 4 years ago, I started a conversation to see about rectifying this situation. I wrote to my local school board representative to see if she was aware of this inequitable situation and to seek support. I got a response 11 days later that read in part, and I quote, "You may want to consider teaching at high school if that model suits you better." But you see, I am a high school teacher because this is the model that CCPS put into place. I just happen to be based in a middle school. She continued, quote, "Also, high school courses taught in middle school are typically for advanced students, which presumably requires less time to convey the curriculum than general or comprehensive students in high school." No, with the exception of CBG and some honor students, this is no longer the case because CCPS made it clear that any student who wanted to take a high school language in middle school was able to do so with no prerequisite. I was also told, quote, "It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to anyone," and I couldn't agree more. In addition to reaching out to my school board representative, I've questioned this inequity in acts. Last year, I also submitted a question for Dr. Dougherty's secondary virtual meeting, only to have my question unanswered, as promised. So I sent a follow-up email and never received a response. So these are the facts, and let me tell you how the inequities directly and personally affect real people like me. For much of my career, as I said, this is year 36, I've had to take on a second, sometimes a third job. Several years ago, my daughter, now a freshman at William & Mary, came to me in tears, literally crying, and said, "Mom, I miss you. I never see you because you're always working." It absolutely broke my heart. Now she's away at school, and I will never get that time back with my child, and that's a tragedy. Had CCPS been paying me the 0.2 for the 6th class I teach like they would have for any teacher based in the high schools, I would not have had to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs. I would not have had to miss precious time with my children I'll never get back. I would not have had to lie awake at night wondering how I'm going to pay for my 2 kids' college tuition or to be able to afford the medication for my elderly pets or how much longer I'm going to have to drive my vehicle with over 300,000 miles on it because I can't afford a car payment. If Chesterfield County truly values its teachers like I hope they do, especially in light of the teacher crisis in this country that's only getting worse. Please do as right by us
Thank you, Ms.
as we do
Marks.
by the children. Thank you.
May we have Jacob Weatherford? Winter Brown?
My name is Winter Brown. I come to you as a concerned parent who has witnessed repeated acts of negligence for the girls' basketball team at Falling Creek in retaliation towards my daughter. My husband and I focus on the life skills kids gain from sports versus the wins and losses. We teach our kids the importance of having the courage to compete. Winning isn't what makes us proud of our daughters, it's the content of their character and how they choose to act when we're not watching. If you do not stand for something, you will fall for anything, which is why I'm shedding light on the neglect, intimidation, and retaliation. There were 3 assistant coaches. Coach Brown quit after the 3rd game. Coach Simon stated he and the other assistants were instructed not to speak to me by the head coach. Coach Alex has been responsive in addressing safety concerns, but up until our recent meeting with the principal, she failed to speak out against the head coach's actions. When you fail to speak out, especially in the interest of children, you perpetuate the toxic behavior and therefore are just as guilty. The middle school athletic manual states a completed athletic risk statement in concussion form shall be on file prior to a student's first practice. This was not followed. Wanda Winslow allowed several girls at Falling Creek to practice during tryouts without a signed concussion form because she wanted 15 girls on the team. The physical form states when participating in sports comes a risk of injury. I understand this. Getting hurt is a part of being an athlete. What I wasn't prepared for was Wanda's negligence. The gym floor was not swept prior to practices or games, increasing the risk of someone slipping on trash. Before 2 games, I had to ask random teachers to sweep it while the opposing team was already on the floor warming up, also putting the other girls on the opposing team at risk. Wanda claims the floor at Falling Creek is always clean. No first aid kits during practices in numerous games. During the Midlothian game, a player at Falling Creek got hurt. The assistant coach had to get an ice pack from the opposing team because Falling Creek didn't have a first aid kit on site. No water available to the team during timeout for games. School Board Policy 4135 states following a head injury, a student shall not be allowed to participate in practices or games until a written physician's release has been obtained. Wanda emailed me on September 20th. It stated, on September 26th, Kira is expected to return in full capacity. I supported this decision. Your policy states a clearance is required when a player has a head injury. Kira had a sore ankle. Nevertheless, we complied and told Kira, my daughter, she could return to play on the 26th of September. On September 21st, she was pulled from class. Coach Simon told her she would not resume on September 26th, which was approved the day before. They decided she could not practice or play until October 4th. They ripped her from class and delivered the news, which shows a lack of emotional intelligence. No coach notified me or my husband. Her younger 6th grade sister had to deliver the news. Wanda required Kira get a doctor's clearance for a rolled ankle. We complied. She then took it upon herself to override the doctor's orders. I confronted her about excessive running. When hurt, she replied, "This is how people are coached in New York," which is where she is from. It's reckless behavior to encourage children to practice while hurt and not have any first aid on site. It's teaching them at a young age to ignore their body's early warning signs. I want each of you to ask yourselves, if Wanda Winslow, Coach Alex, and Simon were coaches at your daughter's middle schools, which are predominantly white in Chesterfield, would their negligent behavior and intimidation be tolerated, or is this only acceptable at Falling Creek Middle? Thank you.
May we have Ashley Albanop?
Good evening, I'm Ashley Applenau. Good to see you all. I'm here concerned about the continued student safety surrounding our, let me back up. I'm here about my continued concern regarding student safety surrounding the 2021 trans model policy. You may recall a year ago this month, I actually came here to speak about the concerns with a planned walkout at Midlothian Middle School, which was publicized all over the Midlothian community in the so-called event, which was not a school-sponsored activity. It was regarding the same issue. The other fear I have now is that you are failing to ensure the safety of our students and teachers again. As it is very clear in the code, each school board shall adopt policies that are consistent with, but may be more comprehensive than the model policies developed by the VDOE pursuant to subsection A in the Code of Virginia, passed in 2021. Let's compare the two models policies that we currently have in place. We have 2021, and the biggest, and that's currently in effect, and it states that all school personnel shall adhere to legal standards of confidentiality relating to information about a student's gender identity, legal name, or sex assigned at birth, even to the parents. Schools shall eliminate the practice of segregating students by gender. Why? For any school program, event, or activity that are segregated by gender. The school division shall allow students to participate in a manner consistent with their gender identity. Why? Access to facilities such as restrooms and locker rooms correspond to a student's gender identity. Why? 2022, discussed last year, put into effect, and offered to school boards throughout Virginia in July of this year, 2023, just a few months ago. The difference, schools shall respect parents' values and beliefs. Schools shall defer to parents to make the best decision with respect to their children. The word sex means biological sex. For any school program, event, or activity, participation of students shall be determined by sex. Overnight travel accommodations, locker rooms, and intimate spaces used for school and events shall be based on sex. For any athletic program separated by sex, the appropriate participation of students shall be determined by sex. I don't understand why we're not considering adopting the updated trans model policies. It protects my child, my 14-year-old girl. Can you imagine? I had the experience just last month as an adult female woman going into a co-ed bathroom. Do you know how weird it was to see a pumped up dude walking out of the stall looking at me? And can you imagine my girl if she were exposed to a completely intact male biology? This needs leadership. We need to begin passing the policies that Virginians voted for. Please adopt the updated 2022 trans model policies by the end of 2023 calendar year and make our children safer again.
Wendy Little.
May I enter her comments in the, she's not here today, she's her son. Can I enter her comments in minutes, please? For your speaker.
Yes, you can bring them up here to Elke. Thank you.
I'm going to call the next 5 speakers. Marnie Palafian, Tracy Robertson, Shelley Murray, Jerry Cowan, and Catherine Patterson. Marnie Palafian.
Hello, I'm Marnie Palafian. I live in the Clover Hill district, and I'm honored to have Dot Heffron as our school board representative. I'm here to discuss the 2 Bills of Rights of the United States Constitution that have to do with the prevention of banning books. And one of them is the First Amendment, the right of freedom of expression, and that not only entails speaking in public, but it also entails listening to tapes and television and movies, and it also entails reading. Hence, the libraries are a prime target of book banning. I'd just like to share with you a historical vignette that makes sense, and that is there was a young African-American boy, 9 years old, in South Carolina in 1959, and he went to the library to check out books on aviation. And the librarian, this is before the Civil Rights Act, and the librarian said, no, this is not a library for African Americans, you cannot check out a book here. Well, this young man insisted, and he wasn't going to leave the library without the books that he wanted to check out. So she called the police, and she called his mother, and the police arrived, and they said, what's the problem here? And when they found out, they said, well, we don't see a problem here, and said to the librarian, please let him check out the book. Well, the books. He took them home, and they must have done him a world of good because he became the first African-American astronaut. And his name was Ron, I'm a little nervous, Ron McNair. And sadly, he did die years later in the Challenger accident. But my point is, it was the books that turned his life around, okay? He was a very shy young man in class, but out of class, in that library, where he wasn't supposed to be, he discovered that he could learn on his own about space, and that's what he did. Now, the other amendment of the Bill of Rights is the 14th Amendment, as you know, Mr. Roberts, and that amendment has a lot to do with classifying groups of people. It's the Equal Protection Clause, and the 14th Amendment states that all groups of people should be treated equally. Now, that means that people that do not look like us should be treated the same as we're treated. And that's not really happening here. And I don't mean here in this room, I mean in the United States right now. And whether you're Muslim or African American, Armenian, Jewish, Israeli, or Palestinian, it doesn't matter. The point is that everyone should have the same rights in the library or outside the library, and I must include transgendered children as well. So my point of bringing this up is that every student in school the school board members need to be reminded that the Constitution still protects all groups of people. And for that reason, I would like to say that rights do not stop at the library door. And God bless the librarians who uphold the Constitution and allow Mr. McNair to have checked out those books on space. Thank you very much.
Tracy Robertson.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Doherty, and guests. My name is Tracy Fair Robertson. I live and vote in the Clover Hill District. I'm a retired educator with 45 years experience, 18 of which were in Chesterfield County as a high school English teacher and department chair. I spent the final 15 years of my career at the Virginia Department of Education, where I was responsible for K-12 English language arts instruction for the Commonwealth. I wrote the English Standards of Learning twice, in 2010 and again in 2017, the version currently being taught. My message to you this evening is simple. It's one of anti-book banning. Trust your professionals, the English teachers, and the school librarians. Upon examining the English standards, which define what every teacher will teach and what every student will learn, you will see that there are absolutely no suggested texts or reading lists in either document, either the standards or the curriculum framework. The reason is straightforward. It is so that English teachers have the academic freedom to design their own age-relevant curricula to best meet the needs of their own students, while achieving the educational goals set by the standards. Each of the 132 school divisions in Virginia has a policy that addresses a parent's right to challenge any instructional materials their own child may read or use. However, they do not have that right to challenge what my child or what my grandchildren may read. Chesterfield County Policies number 3031R outlines the process to be followed to challenge any instructional materials and delineates the 3 levels of responsibility. Moreover, it states that materials in question will continue to be used until the challenge has been resolved. The Washington Post recently reported on a single parent in Spotsylvania County who this year alone has challenged 71 books. This woman is part of a small army of book objectors nationwide. School book challenges reached an all-time high in 2021-22, with only a small number of people driving those records. An analysis the Post did of thousands of challenges found that 60% of all the challenges were done by 11 people. Let me repeat that, 60% of all the book challenges in 2021-22 were done by 11 people who each challenged hundreds of books in their own school divisions. Most of those challenges were targeting books written about or by a person of color or a member of the LGBTQ1A+ community. Students should be able to explore and engage with whatever text they choose. Also, English classes should reflect the cultural contributions of minority groups in this country and worldwide. The director of the American Libraries Association Office for Intellectual Freedom states, "These attacks on our freedom to read should trouble every person who values liberty and our constitutional rights." Chesterfield County Public Schools policy for challenging instructional materials is a good one. I urge you to follow
Thank you,
your
Ms.
own
Robertson.
judicious policy. Thank you.
Shelley Murray.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Doherty. I'm Shelley Murray. I live and vote in the Clover Hill District. I'm a retired Chesterfield County Public High School librarian with 20 years experience as a librarian. Who is your favorite character from a book? I'm betting that, like me, your favorite character looks a lot like you. One of mine is Anne Elliot, a Jane Austen heroine who is white and straight and Protestant and grew up with traditional parents. Here in Chesterfield County, you already know that not all of our students are white and straight and Protestant with a traditional mom and dad. And yet, these students like to read, and they want to read about people who look like them. The world of young adult literature is rich with those kinds of diverse and marginalized characters. Tragically, books about marginalized people are now targets of the folks who do not have library degrees, but who think they should control what the rest of us read. Here's a true story. An extremely reluctant reader, a 9th grader, was in my library with his class to choose books for his own enjoyment. He was not happy, he was very loud about it, and he shared with all of us that he was not going to check out a book. And I said to him, I think if you hate reading, you haven't seen the right book. Because I had taken the required courses, and I knew how to build a collection, and I had read hundreds of the books in my library, I knew exactly which books to present to him. I picked one and read a couple of sentences, and his eyes lit up, and he said, "Can I check that out?" That's a victory. Chesterfield County librarians, and yes, Hanover County librarians, are not out to corrupt teenagers. We buy books about students of color, white students, gay students, straight students, trans students, immigrant students, students with 2 dads, you get the picture, because those are our students. And because we do, a trip to the library is a great place to meet heroes who look like them. In these books, and I can think of no exceptions, the main characters either make good choices or choose the lesser of two evils, or if they make the wrong choice, they suffer the consequences and they learn from it. That is what quality young adult literature is all about, and maybe even all literature. Let me add here, rarely a student will ask to buy books that can only be described as trashy, and we know to say no. A parent called me once to say that she didn't want her son to read Mouse anymore. He was obsessed with it, talked about it all the time. I easily put a note in his record because the software allows us to do that. The next time he tried to check out that book, I steered him to another alternative, and he was perfectly happy. The point of these stories, librarians are highly trained. We know what we're doing. In this county, we are led by an extremely knowledgeable library services specialist who advises, encourages, and helps us with policy issues, most of which have been in place for 20 years, and they're good ones. They work. Trust the librarians, follow the policies. When the political climate has cooled and the anger has matured into a concern for what is best for our students, we will not be able to undo the damage caused by limiting our children's choices. Again, I say, trust the librarians, follow the policies. Thank you.
Jerry Cowan.
I'm Jerry Cowan, and I'm a resident of Midlothian, and I am just an ordinary citizen. I've never had a chance to teach in Chesterfield County Schools, but I have taught at the college level. I'm here simply as a citizen of Chesterfield County to ask some questions because I'm hearing all kinds of things about all kinds of things. And I'd like to ask if you could perhaps address this in some way. I have heard, and you've heard again and again today, about the 2023 model policy that was promulgated last July. It has not been adopted by this school board. I am just interested to know the reasons that it hasn't been adopted. I don't know if you plan to publish those reasons, or I think a lot of people would like to have some knowledge of where you are on the reasons. And if you haven't made a decision, perhaps an interim report of some type about that subject, because as you can tell, there seems to be a lot of intense interest in the subject. In reading them, one of the critical features I noticed was it had to do with parental rights. Parental rights as it relates to deciding what's appropriate regarding raising the parents' children. Couple of questions there, and then I'll be through. I'm curious to know from this body the areas in a student's life where this board believes that the parents should have no input or control. I'd like to know what those areas are. And then on the reverse, I'd like to know the areas in the students' lives where the school should have no input or control. I'm just curious about where the school board stands on that. And another point of clarification, this book banning, the subject that was just raised a few minutes ago, I'm hearing that at bus stops and whatnot, book banning. Who is banning books? Is the school board banning books? I mean, I read the model policy. Do you believe that the model policy bans books? Where is this coming from? I don't understand that. I think that, quite frankly, the issue is for parents, at least the parents that I've been speaking with, it has to do more with age-appropriate literature and the parents having some say and control over what they believe for their child is age-appropriate literature. Book banning is, in my opinion, inappropriate regardless of whether the school board does it or the librarian or who. I appreciate some kind of answer somehow to these questions, because I think that the public would really appreciate knowing these answers. Thank you.
Catherine Patterson.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Patterson. I've been a teacher in the Virginia Public Schools for 42 years. I began my career in 1977, became Teacher of the Year for my school in 2010, retired in 2015, and came back the very next year as a reading interventionist. This summer, after teaching summer school, I am done. I'm fully retired. I'm speaking tonight to encourage you to adopt the model policies of Governor Youngkin for our Chesterfield County schools. But first, I want to thank each one of you for all the hours you spend giving your personal time to ensure our schools provide the best learning environment possible for our public school children, so thank you. I know what a sacrifice it is because you, like me, know our schools are more than academics. I spend a lot of my own personal time with my students outside of school hours. I'm telling you this not to toot my own horn, but to let you know teaching and volunteering in our schools is more than a job to me. It is my passion. It is my ministry. Dr. Daugherty, you have brought many good and innovative programs to our school system which have benefited our students, our teachers, and our parents, and I want to thank you. One of these was the Game Changer Award that you personally presented to me at my school. And that made a bigger difference to me than actually Teacher of the Year, because this is why I came into teaching, to make a difference in the lives of our children. So the transgender policies that are in place now have taken away my trust in our school system, as well as many of the parents that I know. We are harming our students on both sides of this issue. The ones who are not transgender are being put in harm's way, and the ones that are being deceived that it is okay to change their biological sex, which is leading to confusion in their lives and the lives of their family, and in the worst case scenario, leading to harmful, irreversible surgeries. A case in point is Chloe Cole, who was allowed to have a double mastectomy while going through gender confusion. After 2 years, she came out of this confusion, but she cannot change the damage it did to her body. Gender confusion is a mental health crisis that, if dealt with and treated properly, will often resolve itself. I would like to share a personal experience that, if properly dealt with, might have saved me from making a tragic mistake in my own life. I feel like the public school which I was attending failed me, and here is why. When I was a senior in high school, I began an inappropriate relationship with one of the teachers. I kept this a secret from my parents and even my friends because I knew it was wrong. When I look back, it's as if a power took control of me that I could not stop. I was confused, I needed help, but I did not know it. However, there was one person who did know, my school principal. He was fully aware and did not notify my parents or try to stop it. This led to an irreversible decision I made, a decision I would come to regret for the rest of my life. Just like Chloe Cole, I needed someone to help me through this time of confusion instead of allowing it and saying that it was okay. My counselor friend at one of our middle schools says being trans is a fad now. It's popular, like getting ears pierced. I think this is because we as a school system have embraced it. But I think we as a school system are encouraging our children to make the worst mistake of their lives, like I did. I sincerely hope and pray that you will vote in favor of these model policies and protect our children. Thank you so much for listening.
The next 5 speakers are Laura Burgess-Jones, Brian Hobbs, Camille Curry, Jonah Cochran, and Cameron Francis. May we have Laura Burgess-Jones?
Good evening. My name is Laura Berge-Jones, and I'm a proud supporter of public education. For years, I've shown this support quietly, doing my best to provide for and encourage my children, meet and appreciate their teachers, and volunteer once in a while as my work schedule allows. But being quiet is no longer an option. I'm speaking up tonight as a parent, a taxpayer, and a resident of Chesterfield County who is committed to lifelong learning. I'm also here because I'm convinced that as a community, we're all in this together. I have been talking with my neighbors about education in our public schools. All of us want the best for our kids, and many of us are worried about rhetoric that sows division between parents, teachers, and members of the community. Rhetoric that ultimately threatens the safety of our children. Our public schools should be a place where families, teachers, and faith communities collaborate to support our local children. Our public schools should be a place where students are welcome to show up as their authentic selves, where they are not taught what to think, but how to think, where they are safe to learn and grow, and where they are shown how to share a common public space with others who are learning and growing too. Every student deserves to feel welcome at school. Let me be clear. All of our students, including those who identify as trans and LGBTQ, are full humans who deserve to feel safe and to be seen, heard, respected, and valued by their teachers and their community. Anything less is discriminatory, dismissive, divisive, and harmful. When students feel seen, heard, respected, and valued, they feel safe. They enjoy learning and are able to fully participate in their education because they feel that they belong and that they have something to contribute. When our kids experience that sense of empowerment and possibility, then they thrive in school and they grow into adults who are compassionate, curious, and lead with courage. I'm speaking here tonight because the values of kindness, welcome, belonging, community, and inclusion are deeply important to me. I believe our schools should model these values in policy as well as practice, and I hope this board will continue to make Chesterfield County Public Schools truly welcoming for all students. Doing so will promote the safety and well-being of students and their families, as well as teachers, and will benefit our entire community. Thank you.
Brian Hobbs.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Doherty, and members of the board. My name is Brian Hobbs, and I'm from the Bermuda District, attending Thomasdale as a senior. The aspect of blacklisting book material for thousands of students per year, just because your opinion regarding these novels revolve around not feeling comfortable enough to allow your child to read, or feeling uneasy because you can't stand the coming generations to be exposed to gender and sexual expression, does not give you the right in any way, shape, or form to dismiss anyone's ability to read or attain any of this knowledge. The organized efforts to ban these books will just continue to limit the array of literature that can in fact affect students in optimistic and meaningful ways. About 1 in 4 high school students identify as LGBTQ, according to a report put together by the CDC. In 2021, 75.5% of high school students identified as heterosexual, 12.2% identified as bisexual, 5.2% identified as questioning, and 3.9% as other. LGBTQ-related books are present in middle school and high school libraries, not to brainwash students, nor is it present to confuse or push any lifestyle on anyone. This format of literature is rather used to give that 1 out of 4 queer student a feeling of security and a warm embrace into feeling content about who they really are. Many kids who walk the halls at my very school feel lost. After years and years of seeing many heterosexual relationships through sex books, sex ed classes, and everyday life, yet few examples of LGBTQ lifestyles, those who identify in that community may feel as though they don't have much of a foundation of knowledge about who they really are. For them to walk to the local libraries and school libraries and find countless books telling stories and autobiographies about people who grew up with two moms, or people who grew up with two dads, or even people who felt alone coming out to their loved ones but felt embraced once they had the courage to. These topics make them feel like they're not the only one. Books give voices to those in need. Books establish platforms of creativity to spread awareness to many ways of life around the globe. Books are for the youth, so please allow these people to find themselves within one. Thank you.
Camille Curry.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Doherty, and members of the board. My name is Camille Curry, and I am a student at Thomasdale High School and a resident of Bermuda District. And I would like to thank you all for your time to listen to my speech about not banning books. At my high school, we have all sorts of books in our school library, from religion and fiction to courses on human anatomy. With this wide variety of books, students can not only read for entertainment, but also for knowledge, and can use books as a way to understand the world, people, and get to understand themselves better. This is why we should keep all books in our library, so they can be used as a gateway to understand culture and community around us, and to let the younger and even the older generation understand the mentality of these new communities, and to better accept their motives. This is why books are a powerful tool for this generation, because they allow students to make their own ideas about bias or influence from social media or other people. These books can give the people of different races, religion, and sexuality the opportunity to be accepted into our community, so they can thrive in a more diverse and supportive environment, to grow a different perspective and imagination to help bring us together and give us a better and more effective ideas on to push us as people, and to help pave the way into a brighter future. Thank you.
Jonah Cochran.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Doherty, and members of the school board. My name is Jonah Corcoran. I'm a student and a resident in the Bermuda District, and I'm here to speak on the issue of banning books in our schools. It is my understanding that members of our community have pushed to remove books with certain materials from schools, citing personal values or desire to shield their children from their content. To that, I would like to say that for years, before the rising number of book bans in 2021 and 2022, librarians, parents, and students alike have used their discretion and handled sensitive material in books with ease. While I am sympathetic to parents wanting to make their own decisions on their child's education and what they are consuming, I also believe that it is ultimately up to the parents alone, and one family's desires should not infringe on the rights of other parents and students to decide for themselves what they want. To be quite frank, I am of the opinion that this is a baseless moral panic aimed to remove books involving primarily queer and racial issues. While I understand the knee-jerk reaction to be concerned for our youth, these books with violent or explicit materials are not being offered to young children. They are being offered to older teenagers and young adults who can make an educated decision on what they are reading. So yes, while the books under consideration absolutely contain material that is sensitive to some, thus is the nature of life. Things are sensitive, messy, and upsetting sometimes. It would be a disservice to young adults to shield them from these realities their peers may experience every day. It heavily discourages critical thinking that is more than necessary in the real world. And the fact of the matter is that while we are young, we are not children anymore, and it shouldn't be up to other people to decide what we can and can't handle. I urge that the board trusts its librarians and its students and allows books to remain on the shelves. I trust that you will make a decision to benefit the entire community rather than exclusively the voices of a loud minority. Thank you.
Cameron Francis.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Doherty, and members of the board. My name is Cameron Francis, and I'm a resident and student in the Bermuda District. I stand before you this evening with concerns about the threats of books being banned and removed from our entire school division. This is 100% unfair to the students of our school. Just because some parents believe something is too sensitive or inappropriate for their children, I believe this is taken away from others due to a few parents and their opinion. Some of the more spiritually woke books can actually teach students a lot of new knowledge. During my life, I have read many books that have changed my mindset for the better, and every single one of those books had a deep, sensitive topic that made me take the time to actually think. That's how books should be. For example, Dear Martin is my all-time favorite book to this day, and within that book, there are grown adult situations that our new generation should be exposed to because things like this happen every day. Everyone should have that experience, and they obviously wouldn't be able to if this plan is put into motion. Parents are not always going to be able to protect their children from the world. It's a part of growing up. And with growing up, there's going to be grown-up topics. If you're looking at a book made for an older demographic, it should be common knowledge that it's going to probably contain grown-up topics. It's going to be tough for the new generation to genuinely accept things that they're being shielded by what they're not used to read about. If that is how people want to raise their children, then by all means go for it. But this does not mean books need to be removed from libraries. Simply just make sure your kid does not read it. Even if it's different, it does not mean that it's not inspirational. Parents are worrying about something that really isn't bothering them. Books shouldn't just be limited to what some parents believe should be deemed okay. Books with more controversial topics could actually be very useful in helping kids accept what is going on around them. What I don't think people realize is that these books actually have some of the most compelling, intricate stories. Before rushing to try to ban these books, maybe they should let kids figure out their own path. Maybe they'll actually enjoy reading it. Take the time to think about how much you could be taken away from these students. I trust that you all will make the right decision, and I thank you for your time.
The next 5 speakers are Tiara Joseph, Imani Scott, Jason Spoon, Leif Chevalier, and Lorenz Bacon. May we have Tiara Joseph?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Dr. Doherty, and members of the board. My name is Tiara Joseph, and I am a student and resident of the Bermuda District. Today, I come to encourage all who understand the power of knowledge and visibility to detach your personal beliefs and emotions and think how important it is for kids to see their identity represented in books. I ask for everyone here today to step out of their comfort zones and listen. Removing the opportunity to educate oneself on social issues regarding them or not isn't going to make them any less real. To remove books that introduce social issues to students is to remove the right to learn, the right to be curious, and the right to explore themselves. There is a protocol if you do not want your child to be introduced to a certain topic. You can deny them access through the library. Availability and access to all students is crucial. Giving students a choice to learn, giving students an option to see different perspectives of life, culture, values. Giving students access to these resources in school can help them understand differences and problems and overall complexity of being a human being. Books are meant to challenge perspective. Ridding students the right to educate themselves with books that share real-world issues may result in blissful ignorance. Books do not hurt kids. Ignorance does. Thank you for your time.
Monty Scott. Jason Spoon. Oh, sorry. Monty Scott.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Doherty, and members of the school board. My name is Imani Scott, and I am a student and resident within the Bermuda District. I'm standing before you all today to speak specifically about the threat of banning books. First and foremost, I understand that every parent wants their child to be safe, but to infringe on others' homes is dangerous. To say that a book should be banned for every child just because you deem it as negative or contradictory to your beliefs is illogical. Why? Because every student's life is different. To prohibit someone from reading something they may find relatable or enlightening is to block them from knowing that they are seen and heard, that they are not alone in what they're going through. For example, books like The Hate You Give that I've personally read speaks on the issue of police brutality in my own community faces. The Hate You Give let me know that I'm not alone in the unfortunate thoughts of wondering if my friends and family are going to make it home safe or be harmed for the color of their skin. For that reason, you cannot tell another parent's child what they can or cannot read. Moreover, banning books promotes limited ideas. Books inspires millions of people. It has led to some of the most popular and prolific pieces of literature and pursuits. To take away books is to take away future generations' endeavors. Banning books is to withhold bright ideas that will make this world better far after you all have gone. Reading leads to prolific forms of art. Lastly, it creates an increase in uneducated and closed-minded children. It causes kids to be unknowledgeable about the world around them. And without knowledge comes an unstable and divided nation. These books that are controversial hold information and accounts that are not talked about enough. According to Statistica, most of the books being banned in other states are targeted towards 13 to 17-year-olds, which is one of the most vital ages for human beings and who they choose to become. Sending a child into a world that they are not familiar with can damage them and the people around them. But it doesn't have to be that way, because all books inform, all books influence, and all books inspire. Kids can be prepared for the real world. That is how powerful one book can be. Today, I have laid out these reasons that stem from rational and logical thinking. You all have the power to give every student and family what they individually need, serve future generations, and support your own nation. Trust the librarians and follow the policy. Thank you all.
Jason Spoon.
Man, a lot of talk about book banning today. I don't know many folks who want to actually ban books. I know a lot of folks who want to remove pornography from our public school libraries. And I'll just leave it at that. My name is Jason Spoon. I'm a resident of Midlothian, and I'm director of Speak Up Chesterfield with these awesome folks back here. More importantly, I'm a father of 3 school-aged children, and I'm very concerned with some of the policies that I see in our public school system. I would think that protecting our children while they're in the school is the primary function of the board. And yet there's policies like 1015 that does not only defy common sense, it also places students in potential harm. Harm from other students, yes, but also harm from themselves as they make life-altering decisions with less than complete information and support. Now the Governor Youngkin's model policies on ensuring privacy, dignity, and respect for all students and their parents in Virginia public schools have finally been released. I kind of thought this body would have leapt at the chance to protect all the children, in a new policy, and that hasn't happened. In fact, there seems to be no sense of urgency at all to protect our children. I wonder why the delay. Is it legal concerns? I mean, the Attorney General's office addresses that in his memo dated August of this year. Is it the Grimm decision? Many legal foundations have suggested that applies to a very narrow population and shouldn't be applied as a broad umbrella. So why the delay again? Protecting children shouldn't be a can that we kick it till January. There are children who are in harm's way right now. I'll be the first to admit the model policies aren't perfect, and they have room to be stronger. But as written, the school boards are encouraged to adopt stronger language and to act in interest of protecting children. While these model policies, again, are not perfect, they at least bring parents back into the discussion when kids are considering such severe alterations to their lives. They need to be adopted now, not months from now. These new model policies protect teachers who have felt compelled to alter their speech in the classroom. That needs to be fixed now, not months from now. But mainly, the new model policies make a better attempt to protect every kid, not just one demographic. And that needs to happen now. Now, again, model policies aren't perfect, and we hope to work with you to adopt stronger language in your policy, but we do expect them to be embraced as written and at least embraced as readily as the past model policies. We think it's past time to protect our children, all of our children. And adopting these model policies will be a strong step forward to that goal. We think it's past time to rebuild the trust that's been lost with parents. You know, you do that with transparency in everything that happens in the classroom and in the school. You know, we ask that you rewrite the county policy as soon as possible and put it on the agenda for a vote. And thank you for your time.
Laith Chevalier.
Hello, my name is Laith Chevalier. I'm a product of the Chesterfield County Public School System. I graduated from Crosswood Elementary School, Providence Middle School, and Monacan High School. I am so thankful and blessed that my education was focused on English, history, reading, math, and science. There was no equity, critical race theory, nor sexuality or gender posturing back in the 80s and 90s. As an immigrant child, my parents put their full trust in the public school system as they focused on providing a stable home and food on the table for me and my 3 siblings. Had I been raised in current times, there is no telling where I would be mentally and perhaps physically with everything kids today are exposed to. I blame our first world problems on the incredibly toxic culture that thrives on social media and the indoctrination that is quietly but aggressively taking place in our society, including our schools. To be honest, how is it that sex talk in the workplace is not acceptable and considered sexual harassment, yet sex talk in schools and questionable books in the libraries are acceptable and put on shelves before they are even carefully reviewed for content? I have an 18-year-old who just graduated from Clover Hill High School and a 10th grader currently enrolled. I'm witnessing inappropriate books on school shelves that have no place at any public school. I'm hearing firsthand stories of students pretending to be the opposite gender or take on pronouns just so they cannot be bullied, but be accepted and to fit in. I'm witnessing tomboys who truly believe they are boys in the wrong body. In reality, they are confused girls who just need time to feel out who they are without the pressure of others telling them what they need to do right now. The brain of a young person is not fully developed until they are 25. However, many young people are making physical, permanent changes that will ultimately affect the rest of their lives. Please be a school board that not only looks after their students in the present, but also puts them in a position to thrive long into adulthood mentally and physically. I strongly urge the school board to take a position and support Governor Youngkin's model policies that is also the official guidance of the Education Department. These policies put power back in the hands of parents to protect all kids. Former Governor Northam's model policies have taken parents out of the equation and inadvertently put students at risk mentally and physically. The real-life story of Sage, a horrific story of being sex trafficked, not once but twice, all resulted because the school refused to include the parent in the discussion. Sage was terribly bullied in school and found herself caught up in the transgender ideology. She did not tell her mother, and the school chose not to tell her either. Sage ended up running away from home because of issues she was having at school. She was lured online and sex trafficked in DC and in Maryland. Sage thankfully is safe at home now with her mother, though she will experience trauma that will last her a lifetime. Parents should never have to co-parent with the government, nor should it ever be up for debate. Please take a stand today so that no other child can be hurt by these current model policies. Thank you all for your attention and time.
Okay, we have Lorenz Bacon. The next and last 3 speakers that we have are Michael Carabinas, Robert Ebereth, and Clay Thomas. Okay, we have Michael Carabinas.
I'm going to start my comments with some fact check. Every fact check that I'm about to state is contained with the primary sources that I've emailed to the clerk, who can then distribute these facts to you. Fact check number 1. This is maybe an opinion. Being trans is in no way comparable to the statutory rape by a teacher. Comparing the two stories is disgusting. 2, about who we voted on. Public comment in the 30-day period about Youngkin's model policy had 70,000 comments overwhelmingly against the Youngkin 2023 policy. Every anti-trans bill in the legislature in this session was defeated. We didn't vote for squat. There is no need to adopt a policy when we already have a policy in place that meets the requirements of the law. Children are not the property of the parent. To remove a book from access in a library is considered a ban as understood by the Supreme Court in 1982. Less than 3% of those who seek gender-affirming medical care actually detransition permanently. Less than 3%. That's a rate that's better than chemotherapy. That's a rate that is better than LASIK regret. No child can seek care without a parent, a therapist, and a doctor. So that weeds out the whole fad idea. And lastly, because I love to track money and sources, Speak Up Chesterfield is a project of the Family Foundation and their Speak Up Virginia group. It is a national dark money influence group. It's not a grassroots group. It's not a community group. Now, thank you for adopting the inclusive model policy that was discussed with community members, caregivers, and parents 2 years ago. 2, books are a parent's rights issue. That part is right. I do not co-parent with radical right-wing members of my community. Therefore, those members do not have a right to tell my kid what they can read. Because you disagree with it does not make it porn. Because it has accurate vernacular in the dialogue does not make it porn. Because it takes a real-world look at issues that does not make it porn. Spotsylvania just banned a number of books, including The Handmaid's Tale, calling it porn. Sexually explicit is a plausible deniability phrase used to get the foot in the door to then go after books by and about members of the queer and BIPOC community. Do not lose sight of the fact that there is a nationwide coordinated effort to discredit our schools, sabotage our schools, get our teachers to quit, get our libraries to quit.
Thank you, Mr. Carabinas.
All together.
Robert Eberth.
Every time I get last, it always changes everything I'm about to do, so welcome to the Ad Lib Club. So I'm curious, why is the camera not on my face? It's on my back. What happened there? That's a little weird to me. I would like to change that because it's not Mr. Harder, no disrespect to you. It's not even showing my representative. So let's widen the zoom out if that's the purpose of that camera instead of showing our faces. And so I'll get to that in a minute. And so on the books, you know, nobody is going after transgender books. They're going after sexually explicit books that show middle school children that are 10 years old, 11 years old, and excuse me, I'm going to say it, use butt plugs, use vibrators, how to masturbate each other, how to sleep with each other at 10 years old. And I have pulled those books out of the school using the Chesterfield County policy in place. No one is banning books. The school has a policy in place that allows you to take those books out. I'm not taking them out. These parents aren't taking them out. They're using policy in place. So let's put that on record right now. Second, I'm just not in the mood for this today. So my flag display policy. You know, we all know why the cameras are not on me, because this is what you worry about, the straight pride flag, the family pride flag right here that I presented the other week. And there's nothing atrocious about that. It's just a flag. I mean, if I brought the LGBTQ flag out, then you wouldn't have changed the flag. Nobody cared. None of this stuff should be in our schools, okay? None of it. I'm sick of it. I really am. I've been working on this for 2 years with absolutely feels like no success. And I have been so polite to you guys. And things are going to change. What I want to do now is do the auto opt-in that we talked about a long time ago. You guys already have an opt-in for the parental notification of checking out books. And so I get a receipt when my kid checks it out. But I'd like to add one more thing. Let's change that to auto opt-in instead of parent going have to go through 3 pages of web page to even find out how to opt in the first place. So let's make it an auto opt-in with categories to it, not just the author and the title, but the category. Does it contain sex? Does it contain rape? Does it contain murder? Does it contain incest? Does it contain bestiality? Whatever it is, put that in the receipt as well. So if the parent gets an automatic receipt on there, they get the author, they get the title, and they get the category. So they know. The parents have the right to know. The children belong to the parents. I'm sorry, until you turn 17, the parents have responsibility over their child. If they commit a crime or do anything else, the parents have to pay for it too. So let's just put that to bed. And another thing, I run a Youngkin policy. Oh, I got a minute and a half. That's awesome. So I wish these things were higher. There we go. So the problem I have with that, and you guys know it, is the opt-out. So straight children have to opt out of the bathrooms where supposedly transgender people go. You have to go through a process through the state to change your gender marker. And when you change your gender marker, then you have to do it from a health professional. There's a whole process there. And the schools say, well, if they changed that, then they're good. And, they get a letter from the parent, they're good, and they're transgender. How do you know? Are they going to wear a bracelet? Are they going to wear a marker of some kind saying, hey, look, I'm transgender. It's okay. I can walk in that bathroom. And if Johnny or Susie feels uncomfortable, they have to get an opt-out. If they know about the opt-out, the parent has to find it. So that's the problem I have with that policy. So if, say they do fill out the opt-out, then guess what? They're segregated and have to go to a separate bathroom. That just doesn't seem right. And second, if the parents don't know about the opt-out and they don't opt out, does little Susie and Johnny get to go to the segregated bathroom if they don't know about it? Or are they forced to be in that position to where they're exposed to the opposite sex? To me, I don't know how that's going to be enforced, that portion of it. And I do not think that, to me, I understand the good things about that policy. I see it. But it needs to be strengthened. I agree with I'm Jason. I agree with that. It needs to be strengthened. You guys have the power to do that. So what I want to say is, this is it. And another thing too, I think you guys need to break your silence, break the rules. People feel disengaged with you guys. They don't know how to email you sometimes. And so I'm trying to educate them. So maybe change the rules like that, because I've been to other school boards where they do that. So anyways, Robert Everett, Virginia Zone First. Thank you.
Clay Thomas.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Dr. Doherty and the rest of the members of the board. Before I speak, I would just like to say that what a great thing to follow two things off of. One of the 2 very contrasting opinions to follow up with. And so to bring things back to just a bit of facts and statistics, I would like to just bring up a concern I have concerning I've heard plenty of things being thrown around tonight about protection and defense. That's an interesting point to me, because if you look at the statistics in the Trevor Project, it says approximately 45% of all LGBTQ+ related members seriously consider suicide. That's a firm statistic with 45%. And we heard from our previous speaker tonight that approximately 1 in 4 students per survey feel like they are part of the LGBTQ+ community. According to the 2022 census, there is 31,328,131 people between the ages of 10 to 24, which is what the 45% statistic is for. Now, with that in mind, if you go ahead and add up the 45%, then that brings you to 14,097,659 children in the United States of America who seriously consider suicide every single year. How many of those students end up going through with that? That was not a statistic I looked up because I did not want to bring myself to tears before talking to y'all today. How many families have lost loved ones? How many brothers have lost sisters, have lost cousins, have lost family due to a lack of equity? So, with 2 minutes left, I don't have much more to say other than there's a very simple choice. A choice to protect the children or a choice to protect the status quo. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board.
Madam Chair, that concludes this evening's public comment.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If it pleases the board, can we take like a 3-minute break? Thank you. Okay, 3 minutes break. Got to go to the bathroom. everyone can please take your seats again. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Next, we have this evening's superintendent's report, Dr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I'd like to introduce Sean Smith, the Chief of Communications and Community Engagement Officer, to give presentations, especially about FACE. So you're on, Sean.
Thank you, Dr. Daugherty, board members. To kick off kind of Superintendent's Report this evening, we wanted to start something new for Superintendent's Report and really talk about some meaningful moments that really focus on integrity, equity, teamwork, and ingenuity in our schools. Tonight, what we want to highlight is a brief video. This actually is a concept and idea that Dr. Daugherty brought to us. And really, it's about the first day of school in high school and really having our Chesterfield County ninth graders pose for a cap and gown photo.
Every ninth grader, when they come into our high schools, the first day they are the only ones in the building. And so we want to take their picture with their cap and gown. This is extremely important. We let them know that, one, that's an expectation we have for every student, and that we're here to support you to get to that point. That diploma is extremely important, especially at this time in history. And so we're here to say to every child, all 5,000 that come into ninth grade, we want you to graduate in 4 years, and we're here to help you. And the opportunity that we have is for kids to know that we want them to move forward, and they see their picture, you know, the freshman year and then their senior year and how much they've changed, but also that we made a commitment to them. And I think that's one of the greatest things we can do for our adolescents coming into school.
The other part of our update this evening really is about the Office of Family and Community Engagement. I'm going to present along with Amy Bartolotti, who's our coordinator for the office. And really going to focus on two aspects. One is talking kind of a deeper dive. Typically, we come to the board, really update you on some of the programmatic pieces that we do through the office, but also want to take a deeper dive to really walk you through some things we're doing strategically for realignment as well as programmatic realignment. So just thinking about the office itself, it's a relatively young office, all things considered, formed in 2017 with a coordinator and two engagement specialists. In 2020, we added a third position at that time, the multicultural outreach specialist. And at the time, obviously, when we brought on that one position, there really was a strong focus on multicultural. And what you'll see, obviously, through our presentation this evening is really spreading that across all those positions, knowing that really that is kind of the changing demographic of our school division. So we really want to do from the strategic realignment is focusing on three aspects. One is family partnerships, the second piece is community partnerships, and the third is business partnerships. So the family partnership specialists, the focus there is navigating the transitions students really face. Think in terms of really the sixth grade transition to middle school, the ninth grade transition as well. As you saw through the cap and gown photo, we really have taken a focus really on that first day of school out in our sixth graders and ninth graders to really settle in obviously that first day of school. The second piece there is really increasing that parental and caregiver focus, obviously partnering with schools in areas to maximize students' achievement. And the last piece there is building the skills and understanding issues, really focusing on parenting, mental awareness, mental wellness, and substance abuse prevention. The other pieces that come with that, obviously, is working closely with school-based staffs and obviously building that partnership with our families. They're also going to be focused on representing the school division, largely on the regional and local work groups, as well as boards and coalitions that really focus, obviously, on families and support education. The community partnership specialists, The goal there obviously is building and maintaining strong relationships with the local nonprofits and agencies, working close with the nonprofit community. The second piece there is really building those relationships with our county government partners. See those largely through prevention services, through SAFE, and through the public library. And the third piece there is advocating on behalf of the school division, really with those partnership needs and opportunities. Obviously, another piece there too is connecting our residents who may not be strongly engaged with the community. It could be that they don't have a child in the school division, but certainly having the intentional engagement touch points for senior residents and members of the multicultural community. Amy's going to talk about some new programs we're looking at, obviously, to focus more closely on that piece for the community as well. The business partnership specialist is really building those strong relationships and continue to engage and re-engage those relationships with the business community, as well as fostering the strong business and school partnerships. We want to help, obviously, our schools who have some fabulous partnerships, but also help them make other connections within the community, certainly as the community grows and expands. And Amy's going to walk us through the programmatic realignment pieces.
Good evening. So what does this then look like from a programmatic standpoint? First and foremost, the shift is related to position title, ensures that all specialists are working with intentionality to engage all members of the community in partnership. While this has been an ongoing focus for our team, this is actually going to be very helpful in formalizing that. Our flagship programs that many people are used to are still going to continue. We are looking at them every year just to iterate to see what we can do to make them more impactful based on feedback. And those will be aligned underneath the specific positions with the stakeholders they serve. In addition to the roles and responsibilities that our specialists play within the school division, they also, as Sean said, represent our school division on local, regional, state boards and organizations. And this really, not only does this involvement in these organizations, which typically are aligned around supporting issues that impact education and our families and students. It not only ensures that we have a voice at the table in advocating on behalf of Chesterfield County Public Schools, but our roles in these organizations really help showcase the excellent work that we as a school division are doing within the greater region. One of the unique challenges in family engagement, especially when you're looking at a staff person and 65,000 very diverse students across that, is where do you kind of find and align that programming? And so, as Sean said, we have picked some of those key target areas. So as we're going forward this year, you're going to see some of those key themes emerge. One of these things are around mental health and wellness. For example, we have programming that we are currently in the middle of doing that supports substance abuse, specifically around vaping and the dangers of vaping, but from a variety of standpoints. This is a shameless plug. We do have an event on Thursday evening at Thomas Dale. Everyone is more than welcome to attend. And so ideally, the work of stakeholder engagement lives in the strategies and tactics of an organization's strategic plan. So it stands to reason that our focus would be aligned to the work of the school division. While we've always worked to engage our families around issues that impact family engagement, you're going to see this year much more of a focus around chronic attendance and supporting positive attendance habits, literacy. And so we are working with division level staff in collaboration to provide resources and programming that support those initiatives, as well as working specifically at school-based with teams to help them kind of figure out what that work with families looks like in their own schools. This is something that we're really excited about. This is going to live under the community partnerships position, but really looking at how do we engage our champions. And we have them in our school division. So you're going to be hearing a lot more in the future about the CCPS Champion Card, which is not only going to provide our residents with fantastic opportunities to attend sporting events and other school-based programming, but it's really going to intentionally engage our card holders in opportunities to take a deeper dive in Chesterfield County Public Schools. So really kind of helping them connect. Over the last 2 years, we've worked really a lot with our members in our community who no longer have school-age children living in their homes. And they've expressed time and time again a desire to keep up with what is happening in our schools, to connect and to with our students and share their talents. And so we feel like confident that this is going to be a move towards ensuring that these individuals are able to do that in an ongoing way. We are excited about this opportunity as we benefit from having a champion, but also people benefit from being champions. And, this is kind of in the same vein. We are really fortunate to have people that are very willing to support our schools, our business community. And they not only support our schools through partnership, but our businesses, by and large, value the impact that our school system, which is very strong, plays as an economic driver in our community. And we're going to be bringing back our annual business partnership luncheon that we've had that stopped pre-COVID, but really making sure that we are intentionally showcasing those partners throughout the year, telling the story of the roles that our partners can play, and working with the staff in different departments who rely on business partners to provide kind of an ongoing conduit to meet their needs at the time. So we are excited about our work this year, and I appreciate your time this evening and your support, and very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you both for the update. Board members, is there any discussion or questions? Yep, just thank you. Yep. Next, we have items for board review. Madam Clerk, would you please read the items for this evening?
Madam Chair, tonight's agenda includes the following items for board review. Number 1, Magisterial District Improvement Funds, FY 2024. Number 2, FY 2024 August expenditures versus appropriations. Number 3, Budget Change Request Summary across categories, August 2023. Number 4, Board Committee Reports. Number 5, Pre-K Update, August 2023. Number 6, Head Start Annual Report. And number 7, Summary of Expenditures and Balances, FY 2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we have this evening's superintendent's remarks. Dr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of things. One, right now, the next 2 days, we have missions tomorrow out at the Richmond Raceway, and each day we'll have 4 middle schools attend. They have about 25,000 students going through this. Well organized, 6 stations. Kids, as they go through the stations, I mean, the engagement of the students for middle school students. You've been around middle school students, you put them all together, 7 buses roll in, it's always interesting, but they were unbelievably engaged. Staff did a great job. The business community did a phenomenal job. And tonight, we have staff there because they had over 200 parents and families sign up to go through the event at night for parents to see it. So that was fantastic. And I know Chad Macklin's been working hard with his team, and they're heavily involved in that. So that was exciting. Amy did mention, gave a plug for the Thomasdale event on Thursday. We also have an event tomorrow at Thomasdale, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. But we do encourage people to come out. We have events. Vaping is a problem not only in our schools but in our community. And the speaker has a great deal of information. When I attended the last one at Hall Street, a great deal of information for people. And the last thing, we had a lot of people speaking on book banning. We do not have a book banning policy. We have a procedure that is reviewed extensively by our librarians and our schools to deal with that. And it was mentioned by one speaker that we do have options for parents. Like they can go online, and anytime a child has a book out of the library, they get notified. So very pleased with the policy that we have. And finally, we had a lot of people here in the beginning, and then we have a few people here. And I want to thank the people that are still here, because we actually do a lot of great things in our school division. And but I appreciate the people coming to speak tonight. Everybody has a different opinion. It's very transparent. You're going to like things we do. You're going to not like things we do. That's how it's going to go. But never forget, the kids come first. And if you don't think that, you can come talk to me, because I'll show you. But our kids come first all the time. And, but I appreciate people coming to speak because it's important for us to hear and to decipher things and have discussions. So thank you for being here and staying past 8:30. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Daugherty. Next, we have announcements, communications, and school board comments. School board members, are there any announcements or comments this evening? Dot?
Thank you. I would just like to acknowledge the 7 student speakers who addressed the board tonight. It's adult or teenager. It's never easy to stand at the podium, but I know that when I was 16, I did not have nearly that level of poise. Our students, as Dr. Dougherty said, are our primary stakeholders, and it was just very meaningful to hear from them. I do apologize to the last speaker. I think there were some adults who weren't modeling audience behavior and were talking over the speaker, but I do admire their courage, and I hope that they continue to engage civically.
Right, the school board will hold a work session Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 at 4 p.m. here in the public meeting room. It will be followed by a business meeting at 6:30 p.m. If there's no further business, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Madam Clerk, would you please call roll on the motion?
Dot Heffron.
Aye.
Debbie Bailey.
Aye.
Ryan Harder.
Aye.
Catherine Haynes.
Aye.
Ann Coker.
Aye. The motion carries. The October 10th, 2023 school board business meeting is adjourned.
I know. I love them. I do too.